Welcome back to Disco, the podcast where we discuss all the weird, amazing shit that's evolving in the world of spirituality today and give it some unfiltered commentary. Today, we're diving into something that we often forget about, especially if you're like us and most of our generation, always living in our heads and running what-if scenarios, and that's the body. Most of us are terrible at listening to what our bodies are telling us. Maybe you've heard the phrase, the body keeps the score, or have wondered what it means to store trauma in the body, or perhaps you get a tingly feeling in your toes when you meet someone with murdery vibes. We're going to touch on all of these things today with our new friend and guest, Julie Ann Otis. Julie Ann is an oracle and corporate shaman who offers training in somatic healing and energetic technologies that allows people to jump into completely new realities. She brings a blend of somatic intelligence, emotional depth, and something she calls Oasis Intelligence, a way of tuning into your body like it's a sacred, wired-up antenna for truth. From Fairy Godmother Wish Lists to expanding your emotional vocabulary, this episode is all about what can happen when you stop outsourcing your wisdom and start listening to what your body's been trying to tell you all along. If you're in a position to do so while listening, we recommend you follow along with us as Julie Ann guides us through some of the ways in which she works with her clients and the methods she uses to get us more into our bodies. We instantly felt a calmness in these techniques, and we'd be remiss not to share the experience with you. If you've ever wanted healing that starts now, not next month, not after another therapy session, just now, come for this ride. Let's do it.
Disco, the podcast.
Disco, the podcast.
Welcome. We are so happy to have you here. It's going to be a good one. I feel like we're going to talk. I don't feel like, I know that we are going to talk about something that people don't really think about a lot, and that is our bodies. You know, we tend to kind of go throughout our day to day and we're on autopilot, but there's a lot more to it. And you are the expert on all of these things. We are not. We have no idea. Honestly, both Zach and I, this is a space that we really know very little about. And we could use someone like you in our lives. So here you are, and would love you to tell us, a little bit about what you do. What are your superpowers? What do you do for your clients? Share a little bit about what it is that you offer the world.
Sure. I love how you just named that. You're like, we stumbled into a room. We don't know what room we're in. We suddenly are even in like a different house or building. But clearly we're supposed to be here and there's somebody who has keys. So
Exactly.
I love it. It's so, that's such a strong marker that I see with people that I meet, clients, new colleagues, where it's like, okay, something's happening in my body or in my field or in these relationships right now. I don't know what it is. It's a little wild or a little crazy, but it doesn't seem wrong. Like, it seems like something's just opening or peeling back or like eroding or coming online.
Yep.
And so yeah, you just like named it perfectly. Like, we don't know what we're doing here, but like we're definitely supposed to be here. So thank you for naming that. It's like the perfect energy signature of a lot of clients that I work with.
Good.
Yeah, so I work as a shamanic consultant and as a somatic therapist. And when I work with folks, a lot of it is just tuning into their superpowers that they didn't realize they had because of the conditioning that they inherited, both from current culture and also ancestrally.
Sure.
So most of the conditioning that we have kind of keeps us operating from here up, which is like a lot of people have like done a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy if they're going to be working with me one-on-one, or they've worked with like a square pants paper-based consultant in their business. And that's great. We love analytical intelligence. We love the emotional intelligence that's been discerned and voiced in the last 30 years. But in Oasis Intelligence, there's a lot more that's available. So that includes somatic intelligence. Somatic is just a fancy word for the body. So somatic intelligence, wisdom, knowledge, guidance that's coming from your body, intuitive intelligence, that gut feeling that you have when you walk into a room and you're like, I'm supposed to be okay here, but I don't think I'm supposed to be at this party
Yeah.
or in this board meeting or whatever it is, or with this client.
Yeah.
And then energetic intelligence. So, just energetic resonance that's all around. A really easy way to name that is just like the vibe.
Yep.
The vibe that's in the room, the feeling you're getting in the space. There's also ancestral intelligence that's been passed down. There's the collective consciousness that can be tapped into, and we tap into that by using our imagination. I'll just simplify that soon, so don't worry about understanding that yet. Just put a pin on that and put a pin in that one. And then artificial intelligence, which
Sure.
is super exciting and what everyone's talking about right now. So that whole world of Oasis Intelligence combines those two dominant intelligence that we've been working with for so long, analytical intelligence and emotional intelligence, and all these other sources of guidance and wisdom and knowing that can lead us to where we already know we want to go. So that's what I do.
Holy
So,
moly.
yeah, it sounds like you've got to be very intelligent to manage all of those
All the
intelligences at the same
intelligence.
time.
Thank you. I really do think that that's in every human being.
Yeah.
I really trust the timing of different things coming online at different times. Like you wouldn't want to be like in a spaceship being like, okay, I know I can go this way and this way. Like this is my XY axis. And then suddenly be like, oh my God, there's a Z axis and I've got like fire shooters and I've got this, it's just like, it's too much technology all at once. Do you know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah, that
You
makes
wanna,
sense.
like learn the technology that's already inherent that we have in a way that doesn't give us psychic whiplash and doesn't fry our
Fair.
noodle.
Fair.
So there's a reason why we develop, there's just a really inherent intelligence in terms of how all of these come online, how we adapt to them so that way we don't, end up like wah, 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 and have to like start over with a new life.
So, okay. So give us a taste. So like, here we are, like we're ready to go. We got questions but give us a taste of how we might interact with you as your clients. Like give us a taste of it.
Okay, great. And I'll put a pin in later. Later, I want to talk a little bit about our Fairy Godmother Wish List.
Yes.
Because that's what I have every client fill out before we start. And that provides the treasure map or the jazz chords for us to be able to go into the imaginal field, go into the collective consciousness, and go into the somatic body to see where they want to lead us. But I'll just kind of start with the here and now. There's so much excitement in my body. Not sure how you feel in your bodies, but there's so much excitement and like zhuzh and happiness in my body that I just want to invite in some space. So for those that are listening, you can play along at home. So you might want to take up more space or take up less space. So it may be that the energy in your body just wants permission to like fill up the entire room that you're in, or the block that you're walking if you're outside, or maybe it fills up the kitchen sink as you're washing dishes. So just this permission to for your energy to take up space. Maybe that means that your body also wants to take up more space, which can be subtle. It might be like, oh, my shoulders actually could take up 2 more centimeters, or there may be a feeling of like, I want to take up less space. Like, actually, I kind of want to come in, like I want to swaddle myself, or I want to like come more into my own heart, my throat, my belly space. Like, I just want to come more local. I want to be in me because I feel like a lot of my energy has been out there, and I want to like, I want to come in and feel my power. So even though radio silence is like the worst thing on a podcast, I'm just going to go ahead and give it like 5-6 seconds so that way we can do that.
Okay.
Very hard for me to have silence.
All right. So we're gonna sit here for a second and kind of just feel what we're feeling.
Yeah. So just to be able to be, feel as big as it is or feel as small as it is. Feel as big as it wants to be, or feel as localized or concentrated or drawn in like me with me as it wants to be. Especially for those of you who have partners, kids, demanding clients or colleagues or bosses. Like sometimes it's nice to be like, oh, this is me with me. And then sometimes it's like, oh, there's so much energy here. I just want to be able to like really let it take up space. Yeah, I'm curious what y'all are feeling in your bodies. Zach, do you want to start?
Yeah. Generally with me, usually like I'm always drawn to like heart, neck center first. That's like the first thing that I usually always notice. And I think is that's where like I'm not like super anxious, but like I have some anxiousness, and like my son cried his eyes out and clung to my body this morning at like daycare drop off, like, no, don't go, don't go. And so like, you know, where I feel anxiety or where I feel stress or things that like happened in the past or may happen in the future, I tend to always localize that right here on the chest. So like right when I first tune into my body, that's where I'm always drawn. Like I almost want to say invariably.
Yeah. Yeah. Like this is just where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what's happening. This is what's emerging in this chapter of life.
Yep.
Yeah. 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 And then just this first check-in for you, Michelle, I'm curious what you're noticing.
I did not do daycare drop off today, so but it's a complicated, and these are, I think, where a lot of my questions start to come from, because I start to get into my body, but then my mind obviously starts going, and when Murphy, our son, he leaves, and there is this relief, you know, like all of a sudden I'm not being clung to. I'm not being needed. I can start to focus on myself. I can maybe take a shower. I can like do these things that are like allow me to take a breath and like my body to, you know, untense. But then there's this other piece of it where my heart hurts and aches as a mother, and I could cry. I'm pregnant, by the way. Have we told you that?
No, Mama.
Anyway, so that's a whole other area of complexity. As far as listening to my body right now, my body is just like doing all kinds of fucking shit. But it's like I know that he is not with me, and I feel that absence. So there's like almost this tension and this like push and pull that I feel throughout like any given day. So that's kind of how, and it's hard to say where exactly I feel that. It's, I guess, in my heart. I guess if I had to pick a place, it's in my heart.
I feel it in my whole freaking body, Michelle.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere. Like the relief is everywhere in my body, but also the like, my heart is out there outside of my body.
Yeah.
Like how do I be in this local body when like my heart and all this big part of my body is actually out there individuating over and over again outside of me. Like,
Exactly.
And then there's also the like wild freaking ride that is going on here. Yeah. Awesome. So for both of you, I love playing in groups, both with the consulting practice and also in somatic therapeutic practice. So for us as a group, what I want to invite is there's this feeling for you, Zach, of like, this is where it happens. Like, this is, you know, there's multiple sensations here. Some of them can be named, some of them can't, but there's like this going on. For those of you that are just listening and not looking, I'm doing this like clutch maneuver that Murphy did on the collar. And then also this feeling in the heart space. And then for you, Michelle, it's like, okay, there's this whole like body experience that has this both and, or this paradox happening.
Mm-hmm.
So for both of you and for everyone listening at home, I'm going to invite you just to notice a space in the body for you, Zach, and a space around the body somewhere for you, Michelle, that where there's not much happening. And it might be like right here outside next to the ears. Or for you, Zach, it might be like super simple, straightforward, like the muscles in your hips or your calves. You know, it might be like there's not much happening on the tops of my feet right now. For you, Michelle, it might be like, oh, there's this big open space behind me or in front of me, or there's just not much happening.
Yep.
And then just very casually, simply inquire, how does the body want to breathe right now? with the attention, even 10% on that space. So we're not looking to turn off the other stuff.
Mhm.
We're just allowing maybe 10, 20, 30% of the attention to come to a space that's undramatic or open or possible or clear or not much happening.
Mhm.
And then just see, how does the inhale want to happen here? How does the exhale want to happen here? And your mind is still online. So like the mind might want to actively participate in experimenting with a few different kinds of breathing to see what feels good.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, actually, I'm loving how it feels to breathe into my mid belly. Or like, oh, I'm loving breathing into these invisible lungs that are
Yeah.
either on either side of me or behind me or in front of me. Or like, oh, interesting. What does it feel like to breathe while I'm feeling something just below the waist? Where we
Yeah.
don't spend a lot of a time just giving any attention.
Yeah. What I feel like I noticed right away is almost bringing my attention to that space. I almost immediately had like this natural exhale, and it just felt calm
Yeah, same.
immediately.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you directed us to that space, it was just like I didn't even have to think about it.
And for me, it was
Awesome.
the top of my thighs or quads, like right
Yeah.
there. There's not a lot going on there right now. And then you're like, how does your body want to breathe right now? And it's same thing, immediate release. And it was like, oh yeah, I am breathing. I breathe. How do I
Yes.
want to breathe? Like just awareness of even like the act of breathing, which obviously we most of our lives we don't. So yeah, it brought my attention there immediately. Too.
Really great.
Yeah.
Really great. Yeah, later on, I'd love to talk a little bit about when people are looking for a practitioner to work with, no matter what they call themselves or what context it is. I'm a big fan of expecting pretty immediate results.
Okay. I
Not
like
like
it.
immediate results, like I'm going to be a new person tomorrow, because
Right.
again, with the fry the noodle cyclic whiplash, but somatically and energetically, there
Yeah.
should be a pretty immediate direct access with some kind of practice or handle or discernment that you can come back to later.
So
Yeah.
this is something I wanted to ask you, and like I
Thank you
think
for that, by
yes,
the way. That was lovely.
and based upon that experience, whether you just did it yourself or like even just hearing about it, I think like the benefits of this are like intuitively obvious, but like they're also kind of murky. And if I'm on a spiritual path, I could manifest, I could meditate, I could like do crystal work, I could get Reiki. Like, I've got like a gazillion options. Why should I do somatic therapy? Like, pitch
Right.
me here. Like what,
Right.
what's on offer?
I love it. I love it. It's so funny. I had a dude who's a structural engineer from South Boston in his 50s. His background cosmology and religion was Catholicism, and he'd been having all these experiences. He's like, you got to tell me all the things. I saw your site. We got to talk about angels, and we got to talk about crystals, and we talk about energy, and we got to talk about like, are there ghosts? And we got to talk about ETs. And he's like, just tell me about all the things, because like I don't know what's happening here, but something's happening. I'm
And
like,
there's so much. Where do I start? Right.
I love it. Also, I gotta say, like, I don't pitch myself. Everybody who winds up meeting me is totally meant to meet me. Not everybody who winds up meeting me is meant to work with me.
Sure.
But the people who end up working with me are definitely 1000% meant to work with me. I always do a first time session first. So people fill out a Fairy Godmother Wish List. We'll do a first time session first. But like, you don't know if Rocky Road ice cream is your jam if you've never had Rocky Road ice cream.
Yep.
And most people have never even had the ice cream.
Right.
So like, how do you know that you love ice cream, let alone Rocky Road ice cream, if you have not tasted it? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the three of us know that ice cream, it's the shit, right?
Yeah, we all know. Yeah.
That's how I feel about somatic work. That's how I feel about Oasis Intelligence. But if you've never had ice cream and you're like, ew, ice cream, I don't know about that. Great. Don't come try ice cream. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like ice cream will be here when you are ready to try ice cream, this life or the next. So people do a first time session with me. They taste the Rocky Road ice cream. They have a little kitty cup of it, and then they decide. I'm not a fan of endless consulting, and I'm not a fan of endless therapy. So I always set up a very time delineated engagement to begin with. There are many reasons for that. One reason is that by the time we get to the end of that 3 months or 5 months, you will be a new person or your business will be a new business. And that's going to be your new base camp. You know what I mean?
Describe, to the extent you can. I think that's a good way to answer this. Like, what are some of those new base camps like? Like,
Yeah.
what have you
Yeah.
seen?
Yeah, like after decades of IBS, it's not there anymore. Like after decades of having a totally fucked up relationship with your mom, there's just like an amazing amount of non-engagement with that, with the love still being there and some appreciation and compassion dawning.
Wow.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those would be probably my first ones that show up in the physical realm and then in the relational realm. I really, again, like expect fast results. I mean, in terms of getting to that place where it's like, oh, I've arrived and nothing's a problem anymore and I don't have any, like, that never happens, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's always going to be ongoing. Like,
Totally.
that's the joy of it. Like,
Yep.
you never get it done, but because you never get it done, you never get it wrong.
Right.
But in terms of actually being able to look in the rear view mirror and be like, wow, I have access to something that I haven't had access to before, or there's an experience of relief or ease that I hadn't had before, that, first session, we're looking for some experience of that. Otherwise, you shouldn't be buying the gallon of ice cream. Does that make
Sure.
sense?
Yeah, and it does. And like, reading your site, and this isn't our first conversation with you. So like the way you talk about tuning into your body, it's like the metaphor I would use, it's like reading a language, and my background's anthropology, and there's this like fascinating concept from there. Basically that, like, obviously language structures our perception and our thinking. Like, I can only think in English. So anything that I perceive, I can only perceive in English. And so they contrasted, English, there's like 3 words for snow. So we literally see very blunt, unnuanced snow.
Yeah.
But Inuit cultures have like 30 words for snow.
Exactly.
So they're capable of perceiving snow
Exactly.
in shades of nuance that we just can't. And I think it's the same thing hearing you talk with the body. But I'm sitting here thinking I've got a very unnuanced binary language to understand my body. So how do you work with clients and like bring nuance to their language, which is essentially bringing interoception to their inner world?
Totally. I love that. Let me bring one mirror to what you just said so that way you have some handle of a language on that. But then let me also expand into a realm of understanding this that actually will simplify it as well. So the discernment or handle of language piece that's helpful is that most people are walking around the world and they hear their body when it's screaming at them at an 11. So like you've got like crazy tension, if somebody has crazy tension in their neck, or they're getting tension headaches, or they've got IBS, or they've got heart palpitations, or, like your body is screaming at you in 11. When I'm working with people, we start working with like, oh, the body is talking to me at an 8, at a 5, at a 3, at a 2. And it actually can offer some really valuable information immediately that helps me as a whole person make some decisions about what I'm doing in the here and now, or what I'm doing in this chapter of my life, or anything in between. So you being able to just now have an experience of the tops of your thighs opens up an experience of actually being a human being who's breathing, having oxygenation being something that's serving you, having it be a part of your experience without occluding any other experiences of cognitive understanding or discernment. We're just kind of expanding the realm of what we're witnessing in a really straightforward, gentle, and slow way. And that allows the somatic field, but also your ancestral information and intelligence, also collective consciousness, all these other intelligences, to start coming in a way where they can contribute. So you want to think of it as like the mind has been like that really obnoxious lady at the HOA meeting or the Parks and Rec department meeting, the government meeting, where she's like, will not let go of the microphone, right? She's like got a million ideas. And it's like, it's not that she doesn't have valuable contributions, but there's a lot of people in this meeting. There's a lot of people who live here. So there's a lot of intelligences here in this human being that have really worthwhile and valuable insights and guidance to offer. Yeah. And then the second piece I want to offer about the expanding your language, which is such a great way to think about it, is if I were to have you call to mind the image of a heart, there would be a specific image in your mind. There might be a color. It might be 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. It might have some meaning or some vibration or some energy for you. There might be tone or texture. As you kind of hang out with it in a little longer, you might start to actually feel something in your physical body or your energy body. And you might feel kind of a leaning forward or a leaning back, kind of an offering or a receiving energy happening. So all of that is living in the, I'll say language for now, the language of symbols and the technology of the imaginal realm. So that language, and this relates to telepathy, but we won't be talking about that much today. But this is one of the easiest languages to understand because you don't have to open a book and do it in a linear fashion. The challenge is in how easy it is.
Right.
The mind is very used to things not being easy. Culturally, we're used to things not being easy, but instead being earned and deserved. The challenge is in it being a receptive process and a subtractive process instead of an effortful, action-oriented additional process.
Yep.
That's a lot there. I almost want to pause because I've just put a lot into our three-ring circus here.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. I think I personally relate because I just feel like my brain and everything I've been taught is that it all has to be hard and that I have
God
to work
damn,
for
man.
everything. The reward of anything is this feeling of I really worked hard for that. And so I have a very hard time just stopping and letting it be.
And I'm coming from the opposite side. I was a spoiled brat. I was a bad kid.
As long as
I was given they were afraid of me. I was given carte blanche to just be an asshole. And so things were easy, and I developed this orientation towards life that things happen for me and it's easy. So then I got older and I'm saddled with the opposite problem though. It's now I actually need to learn very late in life that hard things are worth doing or they're good, or I don't need to be afraid of things, or to see the value in effort and work.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What? Thank you so much to whatever higher self or soul path signed you up for this, because I'm just feeling so much resonance with so many male identified or male presenting people who are oh, there's some things that I'm willing to actually put heart-led effort into that wasn't necessarily asked of me in the past. It doesn't have to be onerous, doesn't have to be a chore, but does require some dedication, some thoughtfulness, some conscientiousness, does require some expanding into what I do and say really mattering in my relationships and in the groups that I'm in, the communities that I'm in. So, thanks for signing up.
Yeah, right.
He's doing the work now.
Yeah, I can tell.
If my body's talking to me at a 3 and I understand that, wouldn't that introduce for the right person a whole lot of existential dread? Oh my God,
Yeah,
there's
I love
so
that.
how do you manage that? Because
Yeah,
I
totally,
can
again,
feel
right?
that's what it would do to me.
Yeah, don't fry the noodle.
Yeah.
No psychic whiplash. Super important. Yeah, the timing sometimes really needs to be slow. A lot of times when I work with clients, so much starts coming online so fast or starts unraveling itself into a lot more ease and relief so fast that I consider that my role to be one of both holding the door open for people to come into conversation with themselves and all those intelligences. But also I'm kind of like the driving instructor who's in the passenger seat who has the secret brake. That's like, yeah, you're learning how to drive and gas and
Yeah.
brake, but also I have a brake on my side that's like, why don't we come up a little bit more to surface level for a moment?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
don't we just come back into, well, there's 3 orientations actually that are super helpful, and they're so helpful that I want to name them for folks that are listening right now. One is coming back into this body is supported by gravity right now. I feel my physical body in contact with the chair underneath me, or my feet on the floor, or the back of my seat pressing into the muscles or spine. You know, the physical architecture of the body right now is being held and supported from one of those 2 directions. So coming back into that as an orientation really helps slow things down a bit. Coming back into this question of how does the body want to breathe is really helpful, because it continues to integrate the mind as an important and necessary aspect of our inner counsel.
Yeah.
So that, and it also helps ramp up that creativity. Do I want to breathe like this? Do I want to breathe like that? And then the third thing that is a little bit more challenging to come into, but sometimes I use as an orienting, is what is right in front of me that I can see right now? What is the color, the shape? What am I noticing about it? How is the light landing on it? That orienting practice, or practice of orientation, is used by a lot of psychologists and therapists, especially if you've got a lot of overwhelm going on in the narrative, the emotional body, or the energetic body. So those are 3 really great ways to just like, let's come back to one of these 3, even if it's just for 20 seconds, to really help things slow down so we can feel into going at the pace of the slowest part. Now, that's part of like Consent 101 work, which we'll talk about when we start talking about relationship. Consent 101 work is we go at the pace of the slowest part. It's also part of emergent strategy work, which was developed and coined by Adrienne Marie Brown, who's like one of my freaking heroes. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but thanks for teeing up something I really wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's always just amazing to me how simple it actually is.
Yeah.
And I think even just having that reminder of when, I don't know, there starts to become any overwhelm in the mind, anxiety mainly, that it's simple, and that kind of directs you to the things that you can do. Like, what are those simple things that you can just start to pay attention to? The
Yeah.
things in front of you, your breath,
Yeah.
your body.
And it's hard to do that without support, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, when you work with any practitioner, there should be someone on the sidelines who's like your coach. Like, you're a really high level athlete, spiritual athlete, you know, philosophical inquirer athlete, existential athlete, you know, anthropological athlete. But there should be that coach on the sideline
Yeah.
that both reminds you how far you've come, continues to remind you of what you've already remembered and learned, right? And then just normalizes that you are exactly where you're supposed to be in this process of what you've identified for where you're going. And you've come from where you have been. You know,
Yep.
that coach on the sidelines really is helpful, so you don't get lost in the like mental nonsense of, oh, I'm lost again. Well, all right, I'll go do a practice, as if that's not the way the whole thing works all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
you know, we like forget and we remember.
Right.
We get lost,
Yep.
we forget, and then we remember. Like, that's
Right.
literally how the apparatus works all the live long day.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about going back to when you have a new client, and this is somebody who is brand spanking new at this, doesn't know where to start. You've mentioned this Fairy Godmother Wish List.
Okay, great. So after folks have a consultation with me, I send them a Fairy Godmother Wish List, which is 3 or 4 really straightforward questions that you think would be easy, but then when you start to name them, they're like, oh, interesting. There's a lot of limitations there. So I ask people, you know, if your Fairy Godmother waved her magic wand, really, how would you feel? What would it be like? What would you see? What would you hear? Like, if she waved her magic wand and there was no hard work involved for you, what would the world look like? How would
Yeah.
other people be? Like, what kind of, you know, What would work look like or feel like? What would a relationship look like or feel like? Where might you be geographically on the planet? For some people who are really ready to reach, they may even go so far as to describe like the world they want to live in. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. So the
if people are really starting out though, it usually ends up being a list of like, I don't want any more of this. I want this to go away. I don't want any more of this. And that's fine too. Yeah.
Yep.
So the pedagogical intent there, if I'm reading it right, is basically to like get you to inhabit the feeling state of like, you know, what you most desire, and then to hone in on what you actually want.
Oh, I love what you're pointing to right now. There's two things in there I want to name. The first one is a hard one. So it's going to make some people swallow hard. There's no pedagogy or prescription here.
For me and everybody that's listening that doesn't know what pedagogical means, can we just define that?
It's like the strategy and the logic behind the teaching method.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome to the audience that might not know.
Yeah. I'll give you an analogy that'll be probably the easiest way I can describe this, which is a lot of times you'll find me in my kitchen just hauling stuff out of the fridge. Oh, how perfect that I'm using this analogy with y'all. I'm just like hauling ingredients out of the fridge, and I'm like, don't know what I'm going to make, but I'm going to be making something. And suddenly there's like oil in the pan and I'm like frying something up. And then I'm like whipping up these like 3 things and whisking them. And I'm not sure how it's going to all come together. And I don't know what it's going to be, but it's making itself. It's just making itself. And then I make the thing. And sometimes there's somebody in the room with me who's like, so what are you making? And where did you get the recipe? And how long are you going to like, you know, how long are you going to like sear those for? And, you know, and I'm like, I do not know. I hope you will enjoy this delicious meal that I'm making. And if not, that's okay. And if you want to write up a recipe later, then great.
Yeah.
If you want to like give it an awesome title or photograph it, that's awesome. That's great. It's so not my department. I just really love to cook. So like, let the girl cook.
Yeah.
Let her
You
cook.
just described-
I'm cooking, and I got to tell you, I was a hardcore materialist until I had my big existential and spiritual awakening back in 2011, 2012. So like nobody hates this more than the me of 15 years ago, but it was like kicking and screaming that I came into allowing whatever this is to be channeled and conduited through in the way that it is. But this is how it wants to work right now. It may be that, you know, 6 months or a year or 10 years from now, I'm not working with a fairy godmother list. There's a whole other technology that wants to come through me. Maybe it's not even language based. I don't know. But right now, this is just like what showed up. And that seems to be super useful for me and for my clients. And so I continue to use it. And the energy signature of that in my body is that it's efficient, it's clear, it's easy, it's elevated, and I feel pleasure in my body when I'm using it. So those 5 things for me are like the hallmarks of like, yes, use it, rock it. In terms of what the strategy is, if I were to like look in the rearview mirror and try to articulate why that works so well, I think what it does is put somebody in a somatic and energetic experience, like they're trying on a coat to see if it fits, or just first try on to be like, maybe I could feel this, of having all of this happen for them instead of by them. Yeah. And then also just opening up to the idea that things could be radically different than they are now and have historically been.
Sure.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for me it's like so then what? You know, we identify these things which can range from something more simple, things maybe people don't want to be in their lives anymore, or it's like, here's the grandiose like big shebang of my dreams. And then what do we do now? Like, are we just sitting and feeling good in our bodies while we like imagine this make-believe world? Or
You're enjoying the grandiose big shebang of your dreams.
And then suddenly you start looking around and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what happened. But like up and out of me, I just gave voice to like how I was like leaving this job, or like up and out of me, I just like decided not to text or call that person back, or like up and out of me, like suddenly
Sure.
came an invitation to do exactly the thing that I said that I wanted to do. In terms of brass tacks, though, with that Fairy Godmother Wish List, we'll use that as scaffolding, and then we'll dive into the somatic body or the imaginal. We might do a deep dive and then come back up to surface level at the
Sure.
end to be able to
Sure.
articulate like the core questions, the core learnings, or the core practices that want to be taken forward. Or it
Sure.
might be like a dip and then come up and talk about it, and then a dip and come up and talk about it. But in terms of like what that experience is actually like, all the live long day, I could describe to you Rocky Road ice cream,
Yep.
you know, like,
Yep.
Right.
I can show you pictures of a menu all day long, like until you like, taste the lychee. You don't know what a lychee tastes like,
Totally. Yep.
Um,
So we're identifying these things because ultimately it ends up bringing out things that I think that people don't end up taking the time to really think about.
totally.
That makes sense.
I kind of want to get personal. Are you ready to get personal?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just take a pause and maybe feel in the body somewhere between the chin and the navel. Whew. And there might be a longer exhale here. And then you might just kind of notice how it is in the shoulders and the arms. You might notice how it is in the belly and the legs. You might notice how it is. For me, I get a lot actually in the face, in the cheeks, and the third eye, and the up here.
Mm-hmm.
And then just noticing there's a whole lot of space behind you, that it's kind of like it has nothing to do with you,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also kind of filled with the unknown. And then you can just kind of come into the energy that's like 360. There's space on either side of you. There's space.
I love
behind you.
feeling the space behind me and around me, and it's not
This is
really
why people come
something
back.
I mean, I don't think that
Feel
anybody,
good.
probably this is a new concept for I'm assuming for a lot of listeners. I guess I don't know, but it's new concept for me, and I'm like, wow, why does
Yeah.
that feel so good?
Yeah, easy, accessible technology. I
Yeah.
mean, and to be like, let's shoot straight here. There's a lot of people that really profit off of people being sick and people being
Yep.
in a hurry and people not using this technology. And this technology is free. Like once you learn it, you can access it.
Right.
So there's something amazing that it's so like it contributes so much to your health, your well-being, and creating what you want to create that's available in here.
Yeah.
I know that you may have a list of questions that you thought you were going to get into, both in the like abstract, theoretical, personal to Julie Ann, and personal to you. But I actually want to see what feels like emergent. And I don't want to go to that place all the way that feels like way, way tender and vulnerable. I want to come back a step or two from that. Does that make sense? So I don't want to go into that place that's like, oh God, if I really reach for it. No. I want to come back a step or two from that to be like, this would be how I would name that a little bit more broadly, or just before that, in terms of what you want to explore in your own lives or your own selves, or with what you're sensing in your imagination, your felt sense, or what you're remembering right now from your life that feels important. Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot. That's why I want to just like we just back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me take a minute.
Yeah. That's great. I'll invite folks at home to especially feel the sensation or space that's there in the arch of the feet and the balls of the feet, the heels, the toes. Or maybe it's some other part of the body that just wants to be witnessed. Just expanded awareness that there is a body here. And then we'll just see what naturally emerges in its own timing. And if it feels ready, I'll actually ask Zach to start.
I'm a little unsure what's happening. So I've got nothing at the moment. I was just waiting for Michelle to produce something, and I was going to go with that.
Great. So what feels like mentally most interesting to you, Zach, in terms of like your actual lived life? You know?
Well, I have a mug that says "What the fuck is anything?" My inroad into spirituality is theory. Like I really like, what this. Yeah, introduced to all these things, but then like the fascinating question for me is always, what the fuck does it mean? What can we learn about ultimate
Yeah.
reality from all of this? But like,
Yeah.
the listeners are tired of me asking, that question
Well,
of
actually, no,
people.
that's great. I love it. What I'm gonna do is it's like you've described this beautiful like plane of glass. And what I'm gonna do is actually take us and just shift our vantage point to outside it so we're looking directly at the other side of it. So we're just shifting it 90 degrees to look at the plane of glass from an alternate angle. And I'm going to ask you this question of what does it all mean? Where do you experience that most in your body right now? That energy of like, what the fuck does it all mean? What the fuck does it all mean? In me personally, I get a lot in my heart space. I get some in my arms and I get some in my head. It might be completely different for you.
Yeah, I think heart space for sure. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
generally where things flow.
Okay, great. As Zach, as you're kind of feeling into your heart space and allowing the body to breathe while being right in the center of this inquiry of what the fuck does it all mean? I even see like it's almost like you can hold the coffee mug there in front of you because there's some humor there. There's like a really like dedicated, sincere query. There's so much respect coming forward in my body. It's wild, wild. You might even feel your hara line, which is your center line that kind of connects through from your sacral chakra, your root chakra from the earth, like up into that heart space. Or there might even be a connection of energy that comes down from above through the top of your head to there that just feels like this is the question I'm about.
I always feel that. Like, I didn't have the hara line. I didn't have the vocabulary, right? I didn't have the
Right.
language, but like once you named it, I felt like, oh yeah, that's something I'm familiar with. Like
Yeah,
that
this is your
sensation.
cookbook. This is your cookbook, my
Yeah.
friend.
When
And this, I think, is going to be where you find the language pedagogy strategy that you're also looking for. It'll also be, I don't want to say disappointing, but it'll lead to 10 times more questions because that's literally,
that's great.
that's just your vibe.
Yeah. That's
It's
like,
both like frustrating and totally satisfying that every question leads to 10 more questions.
Right.
But for those of you that are just listening and not watching, I recommend The Path of Energy by Cynthia Andrews. And that's a great like Julia Child's like cooking 101. So more to say there, Zach, or do you want to just come back into kind of playing with that?
just that it's a very exciting feeling. Like it's
Yeah.
very like life-giving. It's like, yes, that's like when I'm questioning and searching and looking, like that's what I do for a career. And I, want to like, that's what I've always done. And so like now that I'm a woo-woo person, like that has been redirected,
Officially.
redirected at like, the Venn diagram overlap of like the scientists and spiritualists that are working like that space to like, figure it out. And like, that's why I'm doing this podcast. That's why I like talking to people like you and everybody else that we've had on, because it's just more information.
Yes.
We're all the universe trying to know itself. Right. And
Yes.
like, this is like, for me, that book sounds great because if I take one question, it gives me 10 more. That's awesome. And those 10 give me 10 more from there. And then,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nom, 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 my friend. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, there's some satisfaction that's so available in somatically experiencing the question and the questioning and the curiosity and the interest, the inquiry that sometimes goes missing when there starts to be all these hooks of like, eventually I'll be satisfied once I answer the question. When that's what's going on mentally, it's fucking torturous, right? So in coming back, in expanding the awareness to include the somatic experience, there can be such a relief and such a return to actually delighting in being in the inquiry that never ends and just always expands. Like, that's delicious.
Which I imagine is broadly applicable to anybody dealing with any unknown or uncertain situation, rather than just attaching to an answer or
Interesting.
being invested in an answer.
It's
Like,
interesting.
you
Yeah.
know,
For some people, there's actually a lot of grieving that has to happen. I'm thinking a lot of like female identified and female presenting people. Sometimes there's a lot of grieving. And actually, sometimes a lot of the time, there's actually a path of reestablishing safety in the body. Same for folks who are not white. Same for folks that have just an experience of like this body, how it presents in the world is actually it's not safe to actually be in this body on the planet because of how it's treated. So there's also a lot of like grieving of how it's been and how I had to be in order to be safe. There can be a lot of unwinding of anxiety, fear, doubt, worry in other ways. And also, especially for female and trans identified people, there comes a time when experiencing healthy and righteous anger, it becomes necessary or timely. It becomes time for that to come back online. So there's just some other things that can happen that are a little bit different from what we've just described. God, I wish we had like many hours. I'm just going to pivot over to Michelle for a moment. And what may be emerging now for you, Michelle, may be a little bit different than what was emerging before.
Yeah. I mean, I think I held on to that a little bit. I think for me right now, I'm actually myself going through what I believe is a version of somatic therapy and doing brain spotting. So the version of EMDR.
for those of us who don't know, like, what is brain spot?
It's very interesting. Like your eyes are essentially attached, to this is not the the official definition, but you can move your eyes in certain spots that will almost kind of unlock. I don't want to say memories because it sounds like it's very like you have this experience of like a memory unlocks, but like you will experience a feeling, an emotion that you maybe are pushing down or your brain has locked away to keep you safe because you felt unsafe in that place at whatever point in your life. And there's some, I think, grieving that over many things I don't even know, but I think as I've come into adulthood and motherhood and partnership even, and just life, that I haven't had time to like properly grieve things that needed its due time. And it's just been this crazy experience of my eyes literally pointing in one direction and my body, it's almost just like this automatic. I start to cry and it just allows me to do that when I almost in the past have felt like shame to cry and allow myself to be emotional about those things when really that's been what's necessary. So as I was sitting here, some of those emotions came up, but also like relief that I'm going through this process. And that was kind of, that's what was showing itself for me.
What are you feeling right now, either in your throat or in your xiphoid process, which is
right here. A lot comes up for me right here, I think, when I get into this this space.
Yeah, I'm gonna just do a safety check. So just feel the balls of your feet and the heels. And I'll just ask you to let your eyes be open but soft and rest on something that's not me. So probably behind the screen somewhere, there's something on the wall that you can just kind of let your eyes land on really softly without it being a project. And then you can just notice as you inhale, you can feel that you just have feet. Yeah. And then really, really gently, subtly, almost like you're It's like when you were like watching a kid learn to walk, but you didn't want to put too much pressure on the kid. It's almost like you don't even want to like show them that you're watching. In that way, just kind of notice what you're feeling in the xiphoid process. And I'm just going to mirror back what you said, which is there's a lot of grief and there's a lot of release and there's a lot of appreciation for some of the practices that have come into your life that you're experimenting with now. And what I'm feeling in my body is both this trusting the process to unfold as it wants to unfold. I'm also feeling how challenging it is to trust the process. And I'm also feeling like almost like a meta level overwhelm of how like the gratitude and the relief that that this is actually unfolding, that this is actually expanding or evolving. So that's what I'm feeling in my body. I'm curious what you're feeling in your body.
Yeah, I almost feel like this, like from that point, and I guess for anybody listening, it's, just kind of the breastbone almost. That's where I tend to get tight. And as I'm sitting here and remembering that I have feet and finding a place of focus in front of me, I kind of feel this like whoosh of energy down,
Yeah.
which kind of like a release.
Yeah. The number one takeaway here, I know there's so much more to say, but the number one takeaway here is that we didn't dive right into the thing that was most vulnerable or most tender or most that the mind most wanted to shift. Instead, we were willing to let the mind just like put down the microphone, sit back, come into places that are just like physical sensation of the feet, that visual orientation, and then just also kind of there, just recognizing this experience of this thing that's tender or emergent is also here in the body, right there in the xiphoid process or the breastbone. And there's a respect for its timing. So maybe with other clients, what I might have seen is like that actually wants to become more concretized, or it wants more barriers or boundaries, or it wants to get louder or heavier or tighter or grosser, or like, or it wants to release or move or expand, whatever it wants to do. But this is the power of letting the body take the wheel or take the microphone, if only for whatever it was, 45 seconds.
Mhm.
And everybody's here as part of the party, right? Your mind didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just was willing
Right.
to relinquish the microphone for a hot second.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This episode turned into something that none of our other ones have, and I'm grateful for that. I think it gives people a taste of being inside of healing in this way, being maybe quite literally being inside of their body. If somebody can't work with you or can't work with a somatic therapist for any reason, what a few things they can do tonight at home, like if they want to start
Great.
exploring these things.
It's a great question. Yeah. Partly, I think it depends on the person. I do offer consults, so even if somebody can't work with me, I'm happy to do a consult, and I'll get a zing right away about like what it is that they want to be working with, because everybody's path is different. That said, I do think that Path of Energy by Cynthia Andrews is a great place to start, especially if you enjoy understanding the science. For some people who are going through a highly emotional experience, they might want to just kind of poke around and find somebody's guided meditations that are really useful for them. Not one that's like supposed to be the best in a particular category, but like it's like when you find like the yoga instructor or the hairstylist or the OBGYN that's right for you. It's much more about vibe. More about vibe. So like be a good be a shopper and find the vibe that's right for you. I don't know why Jack Kornfield is showing up in my field right now, but Jack Kornfield with a K does some really great guided meditations for folks that are experiencing big grief or big transitions. For people that are really going through a big spiritual and existential awakening, I like the book Path of Energy, Cynthia Andrews, and also Awakening to the Spirit World. Cynthia Andrews also has some online meditations, I believe. Yeah, I'll just mention those for now. But
So meditate. Like,
mainly, no, you know what? I think the number one thing is just start cutting yourself some slack.
Yeah.
You know, as much as you can.
Love
Like
that.
if you're adult on this planet right now, it's a little challenging,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and if you're an elder on this planet right now, it can be a little hard to witness what's happening on this planet.
Yeah.
And if you are a kid on this planet right now, oh my God, it's challenging right now.
Right.
So I think my number one would be like, is there a place where you can cut yourself some slack, even if it's in the 5 minutes before you go to bed?
Sure.
You
Take
know,
some deep breaths. Yeah.
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 Is there an inroad to be able to let yourself off the hook and cut yourself some slack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Totally. Seems easy, right? It seems easy. We're all working on it. But Julie Ann, thank you so much. This has been really great. I think we obviously just scratched the surface. There is so much we could talk to you about. I feel like we could be here for another 2 hours. We will 100%, if you are willing, have you back so that we can get a little bit deeper. Because I know we have a lot more.
yeah.
I'd like to talk about, the good side of feeling, the good side of like pleasure, and
Sex and
there's a
intimacy.
lot there that we can really get into.
Yeah, I feel like it's a teaser trailer. It's like
It is next
intimacy.
time.
Yeah, pleasure, the erotic, intimacy, sex.
Yes,
relation
yes.
stuff. Yeah.
We will get there.
You
But
guys
this
are the
was
best.
great.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just really, really grateful that all of this constellated and came together, and then I get
Same.
to be able to explore with you guys.
Yes,
Same.
us too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. We'll talk to you very soon, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.